All right, everybody, we are back on Skywatchers Radio, and with us now is the guest of the evening, Mr. Rich Giordano of the AZ UFO Show, and, of course, the documentary Fast Walkers that came out a few years ago. And like I said, a very controversial figure in ufology for many reasons, one of which is for his UFO videos. Some of the better ones have come out from Arizona. Rich, welcome to Skywatchers, my friend. This is your first time on the show, and I want to say thank you for being here with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I mean, this is the first interview I've done in over a year, so I'm glad to be here, and thanks for having me. And yeah, very controversial. That's right. You heard it. I have a lot to say, and I don't have any problem saying it.
No.
A lot of people hate me, but those who know me love me. So we'll see where this goes.
And some first like you, then hate you, and then they like you, and then they're like your buddies.
Right. We have to fight to love.
That's the way it is. Me and Rich go back a long time. I've known Rich we're going back almost 5 years now, Rich?
Yeah,
5, 6 years, yeah.
Right.
It's amazing how time flies, isn't it?
It's like not even a year ago. I remember everything. It's just really weird, isn't it?
It's so strange, man. It's funny because Rich at one point did a show on PSN radio and everything, and then he disappeared for a while. And really, you've been gone for a while now from the scene. You haven't done your show in a long time, and you just recently came back and started doing it again. What took you away from the radio show? And we'll go into a little bit of the radio show itself and go into like your background and stuff. But first, why'd you leave for about a year? I mean,
I left because I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated with you people. Really. I'm not kidding. Not you in general, but people.
People, I got you.
Yeah, because I just started the show a long time ago, 2006, with the hopes and dreams that someday I will be able to show the truth to people and let them know what goes on behind the scenes and let them know that everybody's lying and everybody's supporting the hoaxers just to get their name out there, just to make a buck. So I kind of did the show with that intention, good intentions, nothing. I didn't think I would be hurting anybody by telling the truth, but it turns out that I got to watch my language. So it turns out that everybody here,
people were hurt.
Well, people in ufology are very thin-skinned, and you would think they're thick-skinned after all the stuff that they hear about their own stuff. But I'm coming to find out that they have so many people supporting them that nobody's told them otherwise the truth. And I decided that I would do my show, tell the truth about what I've learned, because I have over 10,000 hours behind the camera at this point.
Yes.
So
in fact, Rich is one of the original people that, we got the idea to do a Skywatchers type of show because of our conversations back in the day, because Rich is a real Skywatcher. Like, we were all Skywatching, and Rich was talking to us about Skywatching when we were like, that should be the name, Skywatchers Radio. and Rich, I mean, we never really gave you credit, years ago, but really you're partly to blame for the name of the show. True.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, I guess. Yeah, good. Well, seriously, so I've made the same mistakes that all these other people who claim have made, great UFO claims and have these great videos. And then I learned that, wow, I got the same thing they did on tape, but I actually show the whole video, and come to find out that was an airplane at a distance, or a balloon at a distance, or the sun was setting and it was really high up there and it just reflected off the balloon. So, I started naming names and talking about people in MUFON, talking about, certain people that are really well known and well loved in the UFO community, which turned against me because people were like, this Rich Giordano, he's talking about Bill Burns. Bill Burns is a respected this and he knows that, and has more years forgotten than Rich has remembered. So, give the respect where respect is due. And I'm like, no, I won't. You know why? Because they're still peddling those fake UFO videos as real, and I'm not going to let them get away with it. And that's what the show became. It became this fight against the machine, MUFON, you name it. Whoever was number one, I went after.
And it's funny because that's how I met Rich, and we're going to go into a little history here. When I first met Rich, and I said it a few months ago when I had Alejandro T. Rojas on the show. The first person I ever heard on internet radio was Alejandro Rojas, and I was like, oh man, this is really cool. There's a guy on radio and he's doing a show about UFOs. I've always wanted to do this. I'm a big Art Bell fan and I love this kind of topic and this and that. And then I started listening to other shows on the network, and I found your show. You were like the second show, so it went from like clean cut, Alejandro Rojas, talking about MUFON and the UFO news and great stuff. And then I hear your show, and you're like completely like it's a 180 from what's going on, and you're bashing some of the same people that Alejandro's having on his show and talking to and this and that. And I'm like, wait a second, what's going on here? And look, I've always had my skepticism over the years and whatnot, and I know there's a lot of people that you've gone after that obviously are hoaxing. I mean, there's no secret that there's a lot of hoaxers in ufology. I have my favorite targets also. Billy Myers is one of them. I don't believe Billy Myers. But, it is funny because you were literally the second person that I heard on internet radio doing this kind of show. But the first one doing it your way, which was, again, it was balls to the wall. It was hardcore. It was, in your face. The one... Or I should say there was a couple people that you went after, Bill Burns being one of them, that I was like, wait a second, Bill Burns is actually a good dude, man. And like, this other guy is actually a good dude. And I know this one guy, now he's a scumbag. But back then I thought he was a good dude. And, this is how me and Rich kind of interacted. I called him one day. I remember I was in the chat and everything. And I was like, Rich, I like your show, but why are you attacking these people? And I didn't get it. It wasn't, so much that you were really like hating on Bill Burns or any one in particular person. You were kind of like pissed at the entire genre of ufology. And, now, a few years later, we're looking at what's going on with the world of ufology and how so many known hoaxes are coming to light and so many different things are coming around. Like, look, Stan Romanek was one of your favorite targets.
Oh.
And look what's going on with him now. You know what I mean? So, there's sometimes there's some truth to some of the stuff that Rich was saying. And back then, you really went hard at Stan Romanek. I mean, hard.
Yeah, I wished him death.
He did it. Not even kidding. That's those are the words.
I wished him, and I don't feel bad at all, and I'm glad that all the negative stuff's happening to him. And I also feel bad at the same time for those around him that are suffering because of Stan's hoax. And what comes around goes around, and it came back tenfold for Stan. And a lot of people are like, oh, the government set him up. No, they didn't. Stan's always been, he's always been shady.
He's always been a shady character. And it's funny, I was kind of on the bubble with Stan because I had him on the show. He's actually been on Skywatchers before. And I was on the bubble with him. I wanted to believe him just like the rest of the world. You want to believe that this stuff is true. You want to believe that this guy's having these experiences and it's all real. And, you really want to believe the guy. And then I saw a video of him literally hoaxing paranormal activity on camera.
Oh.
On a talk show. I don't know if you've seen this. It was on some radio show, I think some Australian radio show. And he's like flicking a Bic lighter or something in the air. And he's like, oh, where did that come from? Oh my God, where's that? We have ghosts. Like literally he's like playing it off like there's a ghost activity going on. And the host is so like ignorant to what's going on and not really paying attention that he falls for it. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm done with Stan Romanek. Then a month later, 2 weeks later, or whatever it was, the whole scandal breaks out that he had all the evidence in his computer that they found, which is kind of ironic that it was like 2 weeks, a month later after that.
No, it's not ironic. So. It's not ironic because they've been watching him for a long time. It doesn't just happen in weeks. They've been watching him for a year. And if you really want to know the truth, Stan has probably been doing that his whole life. He just got caught.
Probably, yeah.
That's what happens. You get careless and you get caught. And I don't believe it has anything to do with his video or with his that show from Australia. It just so happens the guy got busted.
Oh no, that was just coincidence. It was coincidental. Yeah, it was just coincidental.
But one thing I am of course I claim to be the best BS detector on the planet. I'm very good at detecting liars. I'm very good at knowing people when they lie, their body, their mannerisms, their facial expressions. All that stuff that goes into lying, I can pick out and I can hear it. And Stan Romanek's video, that alien in the window, that is the worst acting job I've ever seen. Everything about that video is all wrong. Everything. Mm-hmm. Everything about it. It's all wrong. It doesn't make sense. It's a total lie. Well, anyway.
Well, that one I concede on. But Bill Burns, he's a good guy, man. You should really reconsider.
I apologized years later about the Bill Burns.
You did actually, yeah. You did apologize. I remember you came. Was it on one of your Blog Talk shows? Right? It was on AZ UFO.
Yeah, show. Yeah. It was on my show, and I said, I did a show called "Who's Gay in Ufology," and well, nobody talks about this stuff, right? I mean. How many black people, sorry if I'm saying that, if that's an offensive word to people, but African
By the way,
Americans
everybody, if you want
are
to
in
send some hate
ufology.
mail, please send it to Rich Giordano, not to our show.
It's okay. I could use the attention. How many African American people are abducted? How many Chinese people are abducted? You don't see that. I mean, they are, but we don't see them on TV. It's
Right.
always the Americans
The white guy.
doing it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress.
No, but you know what? You did apologize to Bill Burns.
I apologize, because
and it's like
you know,
everything. Look, it's like everything that happens. You know, the negative stuff they heard, I'm sure. But when you apologize, I'm pretty sure nobody brought that to their attention. That there was an apology said.
No, there was an apology show I did, actually.
Yeah.
You probably remember I did the apology show and I still brought out the negatives anyway. I said I'm apologizing for Jeff Woolwine because, he's a nice guy, but he still faked those videos, that kind of show.
Yeah.
But anyway, Bill Burns, he is a great guy. There's nothing wrong with Bill Burns. I just don't like the fact that he admits to almost everything as being an alien contact or...
Oh, that's not true, though. I mean, this is funny because I'm now producing feature theater. I get to talk to Bill Burns and Nancy Burns all the time. In fact, shout out to Nancy Burns. She's listening in tonight. Hey, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, Billy.
They really are great people. And, I'll tell you what, there's been times where we've gotten into conversation and stuff. And, Bill is as skeptical about a lot of the stuff as we are. You know what I mean? It's just, you got to understand when you're doing a TV show and you're doing shows based on going after certain material or going after certain footage or going after certain people that are saying they're abductees or whatever, UFO hunters, whatever they base their shows on, you have to kind of like ham it up for the audience, for the crowd. That's kind of part of the job. But he is as skeptical as a lot of us. And believe it or not, the guy is incredibly knowledgeable, which is crazy. Like sometimes I tell Nancy, I'm like, just let him go, because he gets into his little rants and he starts talking about stuff, and I'm like, just let him go. I'm actually interested in hearing what he has to say right now, and especially when he goes off of John F. Kennedy and Dr. Feelgood and all that stuff. He knows his stuff, man. He's one of the dudes that you just want to sit back and just. Don't say anything,
That's what made me want to apologize because one day I was listening to him on YouTube or something, right? And when I was married, my wife goes, she goes, "Who is that?" I go, "Why?" She goes, "He's awesome. He just knows his stuff, and he's very enthusiastic." She says, and I said,
Yep.
"It's Bill Burns." She goes, "Get out of here!" And I'm like, "No, it's Bill Burns." She's like, "Don't you not like him?" I go, "No, he's good, I guess." And I'm like, "Wow, I really looked into it a little further." But the show I was doing and still do, it's not to bring shock value. It's just to tell people straight out in a blunt form that this is what I think, and I'm not going to shy away from my thoughts. And I know a lot of people in ufology are thin-skinned, and that's just it. I'm not thin-skinned. I've been called everything in the book, too. People call me a hoaxer, a liar, and all that other stuff. And that's one thing I've never done was hoax a video. So say it. Try and prove it to me. I have nothing to hide. When people get defensive and they shout back at me, they have something to hide.
That's true.
That's what I feel.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
And I've admitted in the past that I hoaxed my own video. I hoaxed a UFO video, so I know how easy it is to hoax something and put it on YouTube and have people fall for it.
Why did you do that? Why did you do that?
I did it actually as an experiment to see how easy it would be to actually fool people.
Right, I did that too. And that backfired on me.
Well, see, I did it, and not only did it work, and did people believe it. In fact, the video is still on YouTube. I've never taken it down. It was even featured on some website that I had not even known about. They featured it on their website as an authentic UFO out of Miami, Florida. They send me email. I saw the email months after they had posted the thing. So it took me literally when I went on the website, it took me an hour to find it because it was so buried in there from all the new stuff. And when I found it, I was like, I can't believe they actually posted this stuff as an authentic UFO. Now, mind you, in the description of the video, at one point I even had put in there, "This is a hoax. I did this to fool you suckers." And people still were writing in the comments "Oh man, did you contact the government about this? This is amazing footage." And all it was, Rich, and this is how I know a lot of the stuff is hoaxed on there. All it was an airplane coming towards me. I'm sitting there with kind of a cheap camera. I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't the greatest, it wasn't, I don't think it had even 4 megapixels.
Yeah, okay? The cheaper the better.
The cheaper the better, exactly. And literally, as this thing is flying towards me, it looks like there's an orb sitting on the sky just for 10 minutes. Just sitting there. And I hammed it up, obviously. I'm like, "Oh my God! Oh my God! UFO! Oh my God! Look at that! This is definitely not an airplane. This is a UFO!" And I swear to God, even my bad acting was not enough to convince people that this is a fake video. People still bought it. It's that easy. It really is. Now, we know your history now. Now everybody knows what your show is about and what your show has been about, and they know that this is what you'd like to cover. But do you believe that there's any authentic footage out there? I mean, not only your footage, because I know you believe a lot of the stuff that you've captured is authentic, but how much of it is, alien spacecrafts and how much of it is government spacecrafts and stuff that we're back engineering, or, just black budget projects that we're test flying out there. Because Arizona is not that far from that area where they do all kinds of weird testing on flying objects that we've got in black budget projects. You know what I'm saying, Rich?
I know. And that's not a fair question, because you're asking me something that nobody would know the answer to. But if I was to hedge a bet on it, I would say less than 0.001% of anything you see on the internet is real, or government. And the rest of it, is it alien stuff? I don't know. Is it government? Most likely. Is it government working on UFOs? Possibly. And the percentages just drop further and further. But everything you see on the internet, you're going to have to just dismiss it. There's just no way of knowing. And until we get that footage live on the news, as it's happening, that's the next thing that's got to happen for us to make sure it's real. That's the only way. So I say 0.001.
Even that's not really great, honestly, because it could be some kind of a government conspiracy,
Sure.
a hoax done by the government with the news involved. The news branch is the next branch of the government. That's part of they're part of the government, dude. So they're ran by the government. So if Fox, all these big news corporations, if there is some kind of like William Cooper type of hoax that's going to be played on the world by the United States government, like William Cooper said in Behold a Pale Horse, that's really happening at some point. I don't even trust the news outlets unless I see a gray alien standing right in front of me asking me to take him to my dealer or whatever. Until that alien is standing there, I really am going to have a hard time believing anybody's story or anything like that. But at the same time, we want to believe so badly in ufology. And that's why all these little crazy cults and all these, groups get formed and people get their followings and stuff. And a lot of it is to make money. I mean, it really is. We got to be, real about it. A lot of it is just for people that want to make money off of it. And there is a lot of money to make because it is a fascinating subject. It really is. The subject, are we alone? That's a fascinating subject, and I would say that I do believe there's aliens out there, and I do think at some point we've been visited. I do believe that much. Would you say you believe that much at least?
I believe it wholeheartedly. I think the Ancient Alien series actually points that out. That TV show on History Channel.
Yeah,
I think they.
No, actually.
Yeah. What? You don't know about it?
No,
you never heard of it?
No, that's not a very good. That's not a very good answer. That's actually not a good show, man. No. They've been debunked, Rich. I hate to break it to you.
Oh, well, I beg to differ. I think you're wrong, okay? All right, because that show is amazing. And the things they show and
it's a lot of fun.
The technology that was used 12,000 years ago in Peru, and they have saw marks in the rocks. And
all that stuff has been debunked, man. In fact, there's a very good researcher you should look up, Michael Heiser. It's completely debunked the ancient aliens.
Yeah, he works for the government.
No. Actually, there's other stuff proving that they were wrong on that.
No, Michael's wrong. No, you're not going to take away my enjoyment.
Hate to break it to you, Rich. And it's funny because we actually have one of our members on PSN Radio who's been on Ancient Aliens. And
wait a second. So these gods that supposedly come out of the sky and fire and all that stuff, that's you believe that's actual God coming down, or do you think that could be aliens that came out of the sky and gave them technology and stuff? You actually believe it's God?
No, I actually believe it's just a figment of everybody's imagination for the most part. But no, the whole Machu Picchu.
Sure.
Part of the ancient alien stuff where they're telling you, oh, there's no way these boulders could have been done by men. It must have been alien spaceships that came down with lasers, and look at the fine craftsmanship. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Actually, at that period in time, all that stuff was done with sand and rocks. That's it. It was all sand. Those stones that actually are there are easy to stand down, and that technology existed with chisels and different sands.
Oh my God! I saw that show, and I thought that was just the worst explanation I've ever heard.
But it's a true explanation. That can be done now.
No, it's not. It's not a good it can be done now, but the manpower would take years and years and years.
But Rich, you're forgetting one thing. There was no internet back then. There was no distractions, no movie theaters, no nothing. People worked for governments at that point, and people worked as slaves mostly, and this is what they had their people doing. They had them do this.
What
Just
about
like the pyramids, they had them do that.
Vitrification, that where the rocks were heated up and melted together, basically? How did they get the rocks that hot?
They made all that up, Rich.
Oh, all right. Well, then I'm wrong about everything, I guess. Well, it was nice talking to you. Gotta go. Bye-bye. No,
I just ruined your fascination with.
No, you didn't, because I saw all that debunking stuff, and I just tend to believe that I still want to believe that there were ancient aliens.
It's Georgia Tukalus in his hair. That's what got you convinced, isn't it?
That hair is mesmerizing, bro.
Isn't it? It's amazing.
And it changes every show with his personality. You know, when the hair goes higher, he's more enthusiastic. When his hair's a little lamer,
I've noticed that. Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, he's more serious.
I think I'm envious because I'm bald. I think that's what it is. But
well, isn't that by choice?
Well, half and half.
Oh, all right. Well, that's good. Like a George Costanza type of thing.
Well, yeah, the ancient aliens are not being kind to me. They're making me bald in bald areas in my head. So, I'm gonna blame that on the ancient alien gods.
I shaved my head back in February, and it was the worst experience of my life. My head was cold and clammy. Towels and shirts stuck to my head every time I tried to put them on. It was like the worst experience. I'll never do it again. Never.
I shave my head every other day. But anyway, we're completely off course here.
Well, we want to look like aliens.
You know what? Actually, that could be our future. A lot of people do think that the Greys are us from the future. That big heads, big bulging eyes. What do you think? Possibility?
I looked like a Nazi Grey.
Wow.
Yeah, I looked pretty. I looked like an Aryan.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to go back to hair. Yeah. People were avoiding me at the supermarket.
Well, let's see. You do shows like the ones you did back in the day, and then you shave your head and you walk around. Yeah, I could see that being a problem.
Yeah, and well, anyway. Well, now then you asked me, you mentioned my videos, and
yes.
that I believe it or not, a lot of people haven't seen my videos in years because I have my website got a virus. And it's gone. I had to get rid of it. Not the most recent one that I put up. Not the paranormalempire.com.
Were you talking about the CN UFOs?
The original website that was phenomenal, which was super, super popular. And I had some videos up there. I got the there's ones that people have never seen. Like I videotaped 5 times now, 2 times on the same day and almost the same time. Triangles, 2 triangle formations, and 5 different times I've got this on tape now, and nobody else in the world has 5 triangles on tape like I do. Nobody.
Now, Rich, let me ask you though, what makes your videos different from like Wool Wines and all the other guys out there in Arizona who are recording balloons and
that's
stuff?
It. Because mine's at night. Okay, number one, which is hard to debunk, I know, but when you get a triangle of lights that goes over your head, then all of a sudden they all dim out at the same time, or you get a triangle that flies over your head, then turns, and then parks itself, and then the lights all go out at the same time. And I got those on video. I have a fleet video, 2 of them, where you see 30 or more objects. They formed constellations. The Big Dipper, Orion's Belt. I mean, we've got the letter Y, and all this comes from the night before. When I videotaped that fleet the night before, I said to my wife, I was only skywatching for 6 months, and I said, I'm quitting the skywatching thing. This is a bunch of crap. I'm only catching balloons, planes, and what I thought were UFOs are not. I go, why don't they just send me more than one object at the same time? Why do I need to do this? This is a waste of time. Then the next day I was out watering the grass, doing whatever, and I just looked up without my camera in hand, and I saw a fleet of UFOs fly right over my head, real low. It was like 7 or 8 of them, and I just freaked out. I said, "What?" And then I couldn't talk. I ran into the house, grabbed my camera, which was fully charged, sitting by the door. I got my camera. I looked up. I just happened to see them again. I actually videotaped them flying over me at extreme speeds, and you can see them darting back and forth in the frames, like crisscrossing each other. And then I waited a few minutes, saw one of these lights hovering, videotaped it, and then it started acting really strange, like skipping, in the sky, like a rock on water, and it started moving.
Like
and
the way it was described by Kenneth Arnold.
Yeah, right, just like that. Well, I guess that's where I got that from. But it definitely is a good explanation. That's the only way I could describe it. And it did. It kind of went. It kind of looked like it was like almost like I think I called it. It looked like it's on a pogo stick. It would push up and then hover and then go down, then bounce back up. And it did this pogo stick type of thing. And then it was gone after a few minutes. I couldn't see it. So 5 minutes goes by. This time I have my tripod. The camera's on top of the tripod. I'm watering the grass. I'm like, all right, I guess that's over. Wait a minute. What? I just saw something flash. I look up and I see 2 white dots in the sky. And I grab my camera. And at the time I got another camera, which I did not know how to use the autofocus properly. So it was just on auto zoom. And I would have to use a tree branch to actually zoom in to these objects. So I got behind the branch. It focused on the branch, would happen to focus on the objects far away. And then these objects just started popping up, up, like that. And next thing I knew, I counted 30 of them. Didn't get it on camera because they popped up like right next to where I was filming. But I saw the flashes. Well, it was like popcorn. It just went pop, 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 pop. So I said, oh, my God. And I yelled to my wife. I go, honey, come here, come here, come here. And you can hear me yell to my wife. And I go, look up there. What do you see? She goes, nothing. I go, you don't see that? She goes, no. I go, look through the camera. She goes, oh, my God. Oh, my God. She goes, what is that? I'm like, I don't know. But now then they started forming constellations, and that goes back to the night before. The night before I said, why don't they prove their intelligence to me? Show me something, make formations, geometric shapes. And that's what I got on tape. It was almost as if, and Jeff Willis talked about this last week on your show. Yep. He says it's almost like you don't hear a voice, but you get a feeling just to go outside and look up. And I can't describe it to you, but when he said that, it hit a nerve with me. And I hate it when I hear other people say it. Right?
It's true, yeah.
It's true, but it's like the most BS answer you could ever give anybody, right? But it's true. Yeah. So, and I'm in denial still to this day, because I did not want anything to do with UFOs the night before. But here I am videotaping a fleet. Now, I videotaped all this stuff, right? And the letter Y. And then I realized all this was from the night before. I said, why am I involved in ufology? Why am I feeling the urge to go out and videotape nothing? I'm videotaping planes, birds. Maybe it's for this. Maybe I was supposed to see this tonight. So it was just weird how I was about to just be out of ufology for good. And then I had this immense feeling to look up and saw this fleet. Now, jump ahead 7 or 8 years later. I bring this video to somebody who's an expert, because I've been bragging about this fleet, and I have 2 of them. And I said, you got to look at this video and just come over. Big screen TVs were really popular. The plasma TVs just came out.
Yep.
So we put this up on a 40-inch monitor at the time. That was really big.
The ones with the deep backs, right? Like the huge.
No.
Or the thin ones.
This was the bigger, thin ones at the time, without the back, but they were super heavy. And I went over to this lab where they had all these TVs and monitors. So a couple of us gathered around, and one of the guys goes, "Wait! Go back." So we're looking at the part where it looks like the Big Dipper. He goes, "Did you see that?" And I said, "No." He goes, "Roll it back." So he goes back about 100 frames or so, and we're sitting there, and all of a sudden you hear everybody go, "Oh!" And one of the objects in the background decided to just move back away on its own, and it just took off, and then another one followed it. And you can't see this on a regular TV or even on a small monitor, but we started noticing that there were mirror images of the UFOs that were on in the background. It was almost as if they were projected to be seen, and then the background ones were moving on their own, while the ones that was vision and in white up front, they stayed still. So we saw 2 different types of UFOs in the video that I have in the fleet. So then we opened up my other fleet, which is this one was December 12th, 2012, 12/12. 2004, December 12th, 2004. That's when I got the first one. The second one was January 30th, 2006. So I got the second fleet, and we noticed the same thing. And the second fleet popped up almost in the same part of the sky, and it did the same thing. They all moved in unison, and then a couple of them broke off and did their own thing, formed shapes and stuff. But that second one got stuck behind the sun, and I couldn't see them after that. But it was amazing to see. So I've got these videos that are unlike Jeff Woolwine's, where he's got a video reflecting the sun and you can see a string, or what he calls the lizard tails. He's got an excuse for everything. Jeff Willis does have some good stuff. Obviously, his have been seen on famous shows and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I can't deny that. But
you and Jeff go back a little bit too. You and Jeff used to host a show together, right?
We started the AZ Skywatchers show back in 2000, the end of 2005, 2006. That was fun. We did really good. We did a 3-hour podcast, and but I was starting to be a little bold and started figuring out that ufology isn't what I thought it was. And Jeff was being talked to get off my show, not to be a host. I'm going to ruin his chances ruin his chances of being taken seriously because I'm ruining ufology. So he decided it was best that he didn't do the show anymore, and I understand that. And I was upset because we had great synergy. We had a good show, and I really liked him, and it just fell apart. And then that's when Blog Talk Radio, that's right, he did the last show with me on my podcast, and I said, Jeff, we're going to go live on Blog Talk Radio. Why would you want to quit? We're going live. Well, I was told I better not, so I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm like, all right, best of luck to you. And then I gave him a few parting words, and that was that.
It's a shame, though. You guys did have good chemistry together.
He's talk about knowledge. Jeff Willis has a lot of knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
He's very smart, and I have to admit, for a guy who's been into it for 25 plus years, he does know a lot more than I do. And that's one thing I've had to tell myself is like, look, bud, you've almost been in it for 10 years, but you're no way near a Bill Burns or a Jeff Willis yet. So just make sure to keep yourself grounded. So I'm trying, I brought the show back, and I'm trying to come back with a renewed vigor, with no swearing on the show, trying to be a little more serious, not really going after people like that anymore. Just doing a real good show. And
what keeps you into it, though? I mean, especially since you have your history and you know what you know now, or you suspect you know everything you know now. But right. what keeps you into the subject? What keeps you wanting to do the show?
Right, I do suspect I know what I know, and I could be wrong about everything. But it is what it is. What keeps me going?
Yeah.
You said it earlier.
It's a good question.
You said it earlier. It's one of the greatest questions.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what better way to talk about the biggest question in life? Are we alone? I mean, what if I was the guy who decided they wanted to talk to and be the voice of reason?
Oh, man.
Well,
yeah.
Hey, no, because I'm still gaining knowledge. Who knows? Maybe 10, 20 years from now, I could still be doing this thing and be a better person for it. And maybe I could interview the alien. But that's not what keeps me going. What keeps me going is I still get the urge to go outside and look up. And I still see things, but I don't record them. I don't carry my camera with me anymore. And I feel that's what they want. I know that sounds stupid. That's what they want. I feel that if the aliens are out there and they can talk to us mentally and we don't know it, we just get feelings. Well, at this point in my life, I don't feel like I need to record anything. I feel like I've done that already. And what else can I record except for the biggest thing that's yet to come, and that's the true nature of the UFO, the actual day when it happens. Well, here they are. Videotape it. Nobody's going to believe it anyway.
Rich,
so.
do you think you've been abducted at all in your life? Because, I mean, if you have the kind of communication with the aliens where they're doing stuff that you thought about, do you think there's a possibility that you've been abducted yourself?
Man, I don't know. I've had dreams, or what I thought were dreams, were so intense that I've woken up to a pain in my left ear while I was sleeping, and awoke to a blue beam being retracted out of my ear into the hand of an alien. Well, then, yeah, I guess I could
Ouch.
say I thought I've been abducted. It's very possible, but I don't know. There's been 2 dreams or experiences that I've had that would. Actually, there's more. I just thought of. I keep forgetting. When I was younger, I had an experience where I thought I saw a UFO in the field across the street of a schoolyard, and and there was static electricity in the air, and I thought I saw something, and then I blinked and it was gone. I mean, there were some things like that. I've had dreams where I've awoken to a rainstorm where the sun was just hitting the sky perfectly, and it just gave the an illusion that a UFO disc was in my front yard, and the rain was coming down, but it wasn't hitting the ground underneath this disc that was being pelted by rain. And every time the rain hit it, I would see it, the rain, go a different direction. So it was really strange. And I walked up to this object, and I put my hand on the object, and my hand kind of like melted into it, kind of like a Tempur-Pedic mattress. You know how your hand moves in?
Yeah.
Well, then I slid my hand, and then my hand disappeared inside what I found out was like an entrance. And then I looked inside, and it was this dark interior with a couple of seats that were strange looking, and there was a voice that said, "Come in, sit down." I came in, I sat down. Next thing I knew, I was whisked away. I saw the earth get smaller and smaller real quick. Next thing I knew, I was being taken underground, and I remember being in an underground base, and I've had that dream over and over again, which I haven't had in a long time. But if I was abducted and those are pieces that I thought were dreams, then it's possible. Why would I have these dreams? I mean, it's just strange. I remember being a child where I thought I could float, and I tried because
funny.
I had dreams about that.
I've actually had dreams as a kid of floating, and multiple dreams about floating or falling. Something that I used to dream about a lot. But do you think? Have you ever thought about taking any steps into getting regression, hypnosis, or anything like that to try to see if there is something there? Maybe you were abducted.
I thought about it. Yeah, I thought about it. But that's all it was. I mean, who am I going to contact? I'm sure they. I don't know. I mean, I want to get regressed. I really do. But I guess I'm not ready, or I don't know. I just haven't really put too much thought into it because I'm still in denial that the reality that I've been abducted just isn't real. I just don't believe it. I mean, truly, until I have real evidence, I don't know. I mean,
you haven't found any marks or anything that leads you to believe you might have an implant, right?
I've had marks on my body. Yeah, I've even taken pictures of them. Perfect 3 puncture marks on my leg, on my thigh, and it was like 3 points with the one in the middle. And I took pictures. I had it on my website years ago. I could probably find it somewhere on the internet. But yeah, I've had marks. Mm-hmm.
You ever thought about maybe getting checked for implants?
No, I haven't thought about that. I used to get migraines and bloody noses. I haven't had any in a long time.
I mean, the reason I ask is because there is some kind of a communication going on, especially if you said that you thought about, what if they show themselves, what if they give me a sign, and then they kind of did it. Maybe they're in communication because they implanted you and they know exactly what your thoughts are, and that's the way they can communicate. Because I don't think they have some magical ability they can just read your mind. Or,
yeah.
I think everything is technologically based. You know what I mean? To us, it might look like magic or freaky, power that they have. Maybe they could speak. It's some kind of a freaky, mental power type of thing. But I think it's just a form of technology we just can't understand. That's what it would look to us like magic.
But the debunker in me tells me this. It tells me that I want so badly to believe that UFOs are outside in my sky that because I just haven't been outside in 24 hours, I feel like I need to be out there. That could be the feeling I'm getting. Well, you haven't been out in 24 hours. You should be outside. Go outside. And that could be the feeling I'm getting.
Right. But asking, show yourselves, give me a sign, do something, and then something happens. That's a little bit weird, man. That's, there's some form of listening going on there. You know what I mean? So I would look into it.
I know, and I should, and I will probably, and that goes back to my very first triangle sighting. I was videotaping just 1 balls of light at night, which may or may not have been satellites. Now, I've looked into the times and everything, and there was no indication there were satellites showing in the sky at the time that I videotaped that triangle before or after. And then I said, why don't you show me more than 1 ball of light? This stinks. Then the next thing I know, 5 minutes later, I saw 2 balls of light coming up from the south, and then it kind of turned and went to the east, and then I looked on the video and I didn't even know that I taped a triangle. There was another ball of light trailing behind the whole time and I didn't even know it. I was just videotaping 2 balls of light and there was a third one there the whole time and I didn't even know it because the other two were brighter than that third one. So that first triangle sighting I got was right after I said, show me something, more than one at least. I mean, what are the odds that's going to happen?
Exactly.
And that's just silly to think that that could happen to me, of all people, that, they're listening to you, that you have the connection. You are this and you are that. Now,
From
no,
60,000 feet out in space, we're getting this communication telepathically from Rich Giordano of the AZ UFO Show, and he wants us to show ourselves. Let's make it happen, number one.
So,
I don't think that's happening, Rich.
But deep down inside, what keeps me going, why I keep doing the show, because I really believe that there are others out there. And I believe they've been here. I believe they are here. I do believe it. And I have my video evidence that may prove that they are here. And maybe I don't have it, but there's something to the feeling, something to my feelings that tell me to just keep at it, keep going, and just do what you do. And that's what keeps me going. I do the show. Whatever happens, happens. If it makes me want to go out and videotape things for the show, then that's what happens. If I don't see anything, well, maybe I'm just supposed to be out there for some reason or another. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of downtime. People think that, we tape all this stuff and we get it all the time. I mean, we're talking maybe once a year you're going to see something.
Right.
Maybe twice if you're lucky. But what are the odds?
You got to be really suspect. You really got to suspect the people who come out with like 50 videos in 1 month. They're like, really? You're seeing that many objects? Really? There's none of them could be satellites, airplanes, or balloons. Really? They're all alien spacecrafts, huh? And I know people like that, Rich. I've met people like that who every day they're like, oh, brother, I just caught a huge UFO in the sky. And then I see the video, I'm like, that's either an airplane or a balloon or a satellite. There's one of the three. And, and there's so many folks like that on YouTube. It's crazy. It really has become like comical almost how many hoaxers are on YouTube nowadays. I think it all started getting popular to do back in the 90s when they did the whole alien autopsy and that was discovered to be a hoax. I think that's when people were like, you know what, let's have some fun with this.
Yeah.
Let's start hoaxing some more.
Yeah, and the internet, didn't help too much,
Yeah, the internet, man. Let me tell you, the internet I think is the worst thing the best thing ever. But it's the worst for a lot of different reasons. Rich, back when, like, let's say when Bob Lazar came out talking about Area 51 back in the early 90s, right? 91, 92, whatever that was. Back then, from the mid 80s to the early 90s, anything you saw reported, any videos you saw like on sightings or on one of these shows, you took that stuff serious, man. You're like, wow, this is real stuff. Look at that. It's a couple of ships flying in the sky. Nobody even thought about it. It could be a hoax or it could be faked or anything. But now it's like it's so easy to do. There's like some 12-year-old nerd who's sitting in his mom's basement somewhere in Colorado, and he's just hoaxing videos. Like anybody could do it just with a little software. You know what I mean? It's so easy nowadays, and that's all a result of the internet. But at the same time, it's really, I think, the internet has helped muddy the water so much now we can't take anything serious. Even the good-looking footage can't be taken serious at all. Like it's like you said, it's unless and again we'll go back to the government saying that aliens are real. I don't even believe that at this point. Like, how can we ever tell?
Can't trust the government, that's for sure. They even make apps on and for the iPhone and Android that you can fake UFO videos by just putting the UFO in the picture, and it looks pretty darn good, I have to admit. Photoshop
is an amazing tool, my friend.
I know, and that's why I like my videos are just, I think, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it. I think I have the best collection of UFO videos almost ever, and I mean that. I mean that because, Angel, you haven't seen what I have. You haven't seen everything. You've only seen pieces. You may have seen the humanoid, that thing that everybody thinks it's a real man in a jetpack. That's how good that video is. But what I saw through binoculars looks nothing like what you see on video. And is it real? Maybe. Is it balloons? Could, sure, why not? It could be, but it didn't look like it. It didn't through the binoculars, but I can't prove it. So that's one of those videos that I have that I hate putting out there, but I have to because I know what I experienced and what I felt and what I saw and what I videotaped. But other than that, take out the humanoid video, those two, and I have a really good collection of UFOs. Not only that, I have a story from my parents, which is phenomenal. One of the most phenomenal UFO stories you'll ever hear.
Ooh, do tell.
I will tell. I talked about it on my show one time. Let me get a drink of water because I'm a little parched. Yeah, can I have some drinking music, please?
Sure.
That was great. Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Continue.
So, the summer, and I have some of this on video. Now, my parents used to live in the mountains, like literally in the mountains where there's a cliff, like right in their backyard.
Yes.
So they could overlook all of Phoenix. Now, I went over their house. Their house was kind of a year old, and up in the peak across away from them, which was maybe about 1,000 feet, not too far away, there was this little light. And my father goes, "You got your video camera?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He goes, "Go get it. I want to show you something." I'm like, "All right." That's weird. My dad interested in me and my camera? He never cared. He goes, "When the sun goes down, I want your camera to be ready. There's going to be a light that's going to show up on the top of that mountain across the way." And I go, "Okay." So the sun goes down. I think this was 2009 or 2007. I don't remember. Or maybe 2005. I think that's when it was. Anyway, September of 2005, I see this light. And it's dim. And I said, "So what do you think's up there?" And he goes, "I don't know, but every night it's there and we don't know what it is." And I said, "You want me to research it? I'll research it." So I researched on the internet and there's nothing up there. There's no like a cave entrance. There's no mining. There's nothing there. It's just the desert. And I go over his house 3 weeks later for dinner again. And he goes, "Richie." I go, "What?" He goes, "The light." And I go, "What about it?" He goes, "It's brighter." And I go, "What do you mean it's brighter?" And he goes, "The light's getting brighter every week." And I said, "What are you talking?" All right, so I wait till the nightfall, and the light's definitely brighter. So I videotape it, and do a little research again. Still nothing up there. 3 weeks later, I go over for dinner again, just like I do every month. And he goes, "All right, remember I told you about the light?" I go, "Yeah." And my mother goes, "It's so bright. You're not going to believe the brightness of this light, Richie. You can see it right now." And I look outside, the sun is out, and I can see this light on the mountain. I go, "That's got to be a reflection of something. Maybe when the sun goes down, it's the rays are hitting it." I'm trying to come up with ideas. "It's got to be a cave entrance," I'm telling them. "No, Richie, there's no cave. Didn't you research it?" I said, "Yeah, I did." Okay, now a couple of nights goes by. I get a call about 10 after 3 in the morning. And my mom and dad are on the phone yelling. And I go, "Well, what's going on?" "You're not going to believe this. Can you see over here?" And I lived 40 miles from them. I'm like, "I'm 40 miles away. How can I see?" He's like, "The helicopters. Can you hear them?" And I said, "What are you talking about? They're taking it." I hear my mom yelling. All of a sudden, my mom starts screaming. There's men with flashlights all over the mountain area and 3 huge helicopters waking up the neighborhood, pulling this light out of the ground. And they're lifting it and hoisting it and trying to get it up. And all these men are around the mountain, all along at the bottom, at the base, just making sure nobody can get to that area. And there was 3, my dad, he said, "They're Black Hawk helicopters. They're shaking the windows. Can you hear them?" I said, "Yeah, I can actually." He goes, "What do you think? What do you think?" And I said, "I don't know." He goes, "Oh my God." He goes, "Richie, look at this. Can you see it from your house?" I said, "No, I don't. I'm looking." And they took this light out of the ground in a harness with 3 huge helicopters following it, and they took this light out of the ground.
But when you say they took the light out of the, did it look like a physical object, like metal in some parts with lights coming out, or just like the light?
It was just a light. They couldn't see it. They couldn't tell. It was so bright. They said it lit up the whole mountain like it was daylight when they pulled this thing out of the ground. And I said, "How big was it there?" "We don't know. Maybe the size of a car, maybe a bus. We can't tell. It's so bright." And they whisked it away. Yeah. What an incredible story, which was never on the news.
That's crazy.
Nobody ever called. But the light was gone. And then I went over to their house the next night. And, of course, there was no light in the mountain. Damn it. That would have been so great to have been there. I said, "Get your camera out." "I'm trying. It doesn't work."
It's the worst moment for it not to work.
Well, they got woken up from the helicopters around 2:45. So they sat there, didn't know what it was, and they saw all these men like at the bottom of at the canyon where they live with flashlights, maybe 20 people. And all the neighbors started waking up, and of course they're at the cliff, and they can see their neighbors coming out and their lights turning on. So it woke up that whole canyon, and I can imagine 3 helicopters, that big, that loud, at that time, taking away this light. And I've always wondered what that was, because we hear things like this all the time in Arizona about lights in the mountains. We had the Phoenix lights in '97.
Yep.
But we've heard about these lights that are in the ground, and the next thing you know, they're gone. Like one day they're there, next day they're not. And it's very possible maybe they're ships or beacons for UFOs, or maybe they're it reminds me of the one movie.
It reminds me of, wasn't it War of the Worlds?
Yeah, I was just trying to think of that.
Yeah.
Where they were underground and then they came to life. Yeah. They got activated.
Exactly, that's what it was. Yeah, they were activated by this ball of light that just hit the ground.
Well, maybe that light was getting activated or charged up because maybe a mothership was nearing, or, who knows what.
I mean, let me ask you, Rich, because look, Arizona has been a hotbed for UFO activity for a long time. You just mentioned the Phoenix Lights and all that stuff.
Right.
Why do you think that is? Why Arizona? Why that place?
I don't know. I think it's the geological formation here. I think we have the ley lines that go right through Sedona, and there's a very high energy source. We've got a lot of activity in Sedona. So I think there may be some underground bases in Sedona that are there now that may have been there thousands of years ago. But they have a lot of vortices or whatever you call them that are up there. You don't feel a vortex, by the way.
I would assume that, yeah.
Yeah. But some people are super sensitive to them, that they get dizzy and whatnot. But supposedly you can't. But maybe you can. But other than that, I think it has to do with the ley lines that are around the Earth, and Phoenix and Sedona just happen to be right in line with the ley lines. How, maybe the UFOs use the ley lines to gather up energy or use them for navigation purposes. But when we had the Phoenix lights in '97, the big UFO that came over, and before, what everybody remembers is the lights that were captured on video at 10 o'clock. That's not the real UFO sighting. Those are flares. The real sighting happened at 8 to 8:30 when they came down from Henderson, Nevada, and all the way through the center of Arizona and right through downtown. And a lot of people don't know this about a freeway in Arizona called the 51. The 51 on the walls of the freeway has a story that says the sky gods came, followed this path of the 51, which used to be called Dreamy Draw, but it says the aliens came down this area, the sky gods, and followed this route right to Estrella Mountains, which is the Mountain of the Stars, Sky Mountain. That's what the Indians called it, Estrella Mountain, which is Mountain of the Stars. And this, where that big UFO came in '97, went right over that part of the freeway where it says this is the story where the aliens came, and they followed this line right to the mountain, Star Mountain. And that's very amazing that would happen at 8:30. Yeah.
Do you think it has anything or any connections to Area 51 being nearby also, not too far off?
No, I don't know. There's a lot of other bases it could be connected to, but supposedly that thing went all the way south, that UFO, to Tucson, where there's a lot of military bases out there, one big one. But as far as the connection to Area 51, I don't know. I don't think anything's really happening like that over there as far as UFO technology.
Do you believe the Bob Lazar story out of Area 51? Do you believe there's any legit information that came out of Bob Lazar?
I'm going to be Stanton Friedman here for a moment. And
that's not a bad impression, by the way. Shout out to Stanton.
It's not a bad impression at all. He definitely says it's not real.
Right.
That he doesn't believe it. Now, I tend to believe Bob Lazar in some way. It's hard, unless he's a sociopath, he's a really good liar. Because that story he came up with, he doesn't vary from it at all. It sounds legit, but and also Stanton Friedman made some comments that he can't prove where the bathroom is or where the lunchroom is. And, so what? He didn't talk about that because it wasn't important to talk about.
My question is, how does Stanton Friedman know exactly where the bathrooms and the lunchrooms are in Area 51?
Well, because I've spoken with people who've been there.
Right.
No, because he has. He knows.
Yeah, no, I know. But here's a question, though, Rich. Check this out. I don't know if you've ever made this connection. What does Bob Lazar and Stan Romanek have in common?
What do they have in common?
Yes.
Is this a joke?
No, this is a legit question.
They're both liars?
No, well, besides that part. No, there is actually there's a common bond between these two guys. Besides the fact that they might be liars, there's something they both have in common.
They're brother-in-laws.
No, that's not it either. You're really bad at these games. No, Element 115.
Oh, yeah, I know Element 115, sure.
Bob Lazar spoke about Element 115 as the futuristic fuel that was going to power us to the stars, and this is alien fuel.
Right.
And, that's stuff that we've been talking about since the 70s. It's not anything that's really been new. In fact, Element 115 has been done. It's been, they've been able to create Element 115, but it's not a stable it's not a stable source. It decays and breaks apart really quickly. So it's not a stable fuel they could use. But funny enough, years later, about a decade or two later, here comes Stan Romanek, and he says that he had, in one of his regression therapies sessions, he came up with this formula, this mathematical equation for Element 115.
Oh, no.
Very funny. And he says, it must be the aliens, because there's no way I could remember all that. Mathematics?
No.
Really? Math? Me?
Do you know?
No.
Me and Stan Romanek were supposed to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show together.
I would pay real money to see that, by the way.
That I was invited to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show.
Are you serious about this, or is this a joke?
No, I got a letter, an email rather, from the Oprah Winfrey Show. And it says, look, we're having a segment on our show about UFOs, and we saw your website, your videos, and we're having a gentleman by the name of Stan Romanek on the show. And then I said, now, because I remember I emailed back, I said, I'd love to be a guest on your show, but don't have Stan Romanek on your show because this guy's a liar. This was before his video came out.
Oh, man. Missed opportunity, man.
Right. This was before his Alien in the Window came out. I saw Stan on another show and just so happened to remember the name and everything. And he was videotaping a balloon and driving down the road chasing this balloon and then stopping off on the road and asking people, mainly kids, what they see in the sky.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, it looks like a UFO, and because he told them it's a UFO.
Right.
But so he was going to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show as an abductee / UFO experiencer. And I think because of my bashing Stan and telling them not to have him on, they didn't have me on.
Man, you missed a golden opportunity. Well, this is before that video, so you really
That's
didn't.
amazing, though. It goes back that far for Stan because I think he's been planning this the whole time. That's why really good. A lot of people don't know that he was. I think he was on the Oprah Winfrey Show.
Not sure about that. I'm going to have to research that. It's funny because I was connected with them to be on the show a long time ago, and I had them on the show and whatnot. And Lisa Romanek and all of them, they're friendly with me on Facebook, or they were with at the time.
Yeah.
As soon as the whole story broke and we talked about it on the show here, we kind of read the news and stuff, and it was funny because as soon as you hear somebody say, or you get somebody get accused of that kind of a charge, of pedophilia, the last thing you want is for your wife to go on the internet and start talking up a storm about government conspiracies and how they're going to take all this UFO stuff to court and this and that. And I think in some ways, Stan Romanek and this whole thing might be an orchestrated event by the government. I think he might have been a plant by the government to really muddy the waters and really just destroy ufology from within. That's just my personal opinion.
No.
People like him.
Yes, I said that too. I thought and said that on my show a long time ago. I said unless this is all an act, because he's not a good actor.
No.
Maybe he works for the government and was planted and told to do all this stuff for some reason or another. Yeah. And I thought it was to get us maybe used to the idea that aliens could be real, and they're trying to condition us for that day. So I figured maybe that's what he was in it for. But I always question that too, whether he works for the government somehow or was asked to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Like somebody could knock on my door tomorrow and say, "Look, people know you. Yep. Maybe some people trust you, whatever. But we think you'd be a good candidate for this. We'll pay all your bills forever, maybe for 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
If you do this, and you're going to have to take the fall for some things, and would you want to do that? I'd probably say yeah.
Yeah, if you pay me enough, why not? I already hooked one video for free. Might as well get paid for it. And I know you take calls on your show. What kind of callers do you get on the AZ UFO show? Which we should definitely plug a little bit more, because your show is on, Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern? Is that the time that your show airs?
Yeah, it's 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on blogtalkradio.com/AZ UFO show. Yeah, it's a good show. Actually, my show is one of the very first original Blog Talk Radio paranormal shows, so I'm an original host.
Yeah.
And, man alive, we were bringing in some good numbers at one point, but, I've been gone for a while, so we're starting over, like I said earlier, and things are going well. I mean, you got to start over again. I'm starting from scratch almost again, but our previous listeners, I know there's some of them listening to this that are out there that are bringing their friends and family over to the show, and it's not dark matter, but it's Blog Talk Radio, and I just think Blog Talk Radio has a long way to go with their technology. We still have problems there, but as far as starting the show on time and not getting our passwords in, and all of a sudden you hear, that is the wrong password, please try again. Then all of a sudden you hear bing, and you're hung up on Skype, and you're like, I'm disconnected. Then you're in the chat room saying, hold on, I'm coming, and next thing you know, people are frustrated, and they're like, oh, you're supposed to start at 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock, Eastern, and now it's 10 after. So I lost 10 minutes, That's my whole intro.
You know what I don't miss about Blog Talk Radio, Rich?
What?
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, we're live. Oh, okay, yeah, we're on the air. Can you hear me? Yeah, we're on the air. Can you hear me? Yeah, no, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah, we're live on Blog. I can hear you. Okay, can you hear me? I hate that. And that used to be every show, man, on Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah, and it's not much better, but the technology is getting better to where I don't sound like I'm on a cell phone anymore,
Well, you're doing it on Skype now, so you're not technically on a cell phone anymore.
Well, I've always done it on Skype, but even Skype sounded a little tinny.
Yeah.
But anyway, like when I listen to you on my cell phone, from the app I have that brings dark matter in. Yeah, you sound really rich, and your voice is very vibrant, where I'm sure I'm a little tinny now to those listening. But anyway, so I love for people to call into the show. I've been having me on the yeah, we do all sorts of things. I actually call other radio shows live while I'm on my show, and
that's always fun.
I acted like Sylvia Brown on this one, and of course they caught on real quick that it wasn't Sylvia Brown because she's dead. But they're like, no, Sylvia
from
Brown.
The afterlife.
This is a guy. This isn't Sylvia Brown. How could you tell? I sound the same. Poor Sylvia.
Did she die? Really? I missed that.
Oh yeah, she's been dead for a year.
Oh man, I missed that. Oh.
Yeah, she's gone.
I'll get over it.
Yeah, and the thing is, she didn't even see it coming.
So much for the psychic stuff. Yeah. Now you've done shows in the past where you've claimed to be a psychic.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second, because I did back in my Blog Talk days, and this is a long time ago. I did a little spoof show myself called the Cuban Psychic Show, because I am Cuban, and I got inspired by you because you actually did psychic shows, and let's get into that a little bit, because it was a lot of fun listening to some of the stuff you were covering on that topic and to the callers you would have on that show. What made you come up with an idea to say you were psychic?
Let me tell you, my whole life I've always thought I was psychic. I'm not even kidding about that. I always felt I've had this sixth sense. Really, not kidding at all. So I'm doing this radio show for years talking about UFOs, running out of ideas, and I decided I'm going to do a show once a month about psychics, and I'll be the psychic. So I figured, I'll take calls and all this, and it was the most unbelievable show I've ever had. I had almost 1,000 live listeners that night. People were calling in 30 deep on the phone lines. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And they all asked me the same thing. Am I going to find a job? Am I going to find a man? And I'm like, ugh. So I decided, I'll do the best I can. And they bought it. And people were doing it, right? And the first show was a success. Then the next month came, I did it again, and I was off on everything. I couldn't guess one thing right. So it just goes to show, even though you think you're psychic and you have these ideas and feelings that come to you, you could be on or really off, and I was really in the middle there. So I figured 50% wasn't too bad. So one night this guy calls in, and I said, hey, if you're going to call into my show, I am going to give you the most honest answer I will give you. I will tell you when you're going to die. I will tell you what disease you're going to get, whatever. So a guy calls in, and he goes, hey, is this for real? And I said, as real as you and I are talking. When am I going to die? And I go, 2036, March 18th. Who's next? He goes, wait. He goes, don't do. You're not supposed to tell us that. And I said, you asked. I just told. So it was pretty fun, and then all of a sudden people were calling in. They're like, well, if you're going to tell me when I'm going to die, when am I going to die? And I'm like, look, I just did it for that one guy. Let's leave it at that. Now I know why psychics do what they do. And Sylvia Browne always said, never tell somebody when they're going to die. Well, first of all, you don't want to put that thought into somebody's head, right. Then they live their life as if they're going to die in 2036, March 18th, and the guy's like partying, giving out money, and then he doesn't die. Wakes up with a horrible hangover and he's broke. But the thing is, that's why I did the psychic show. I really felt I could do it. And that's not a joke. I really took it seriously. And it worked for a little while. And then I felt bad because I knew I wasn't psychic. It's just people kept calling about stuff that I can't really know. I don't know how to do this. I'm not a psychic. I don't know how to trick people and lie. These are real psychics can do that.
Yeah.
Sylvia Browne knows how to look somebody in the eye and said, no, I'm right. You're wrong. Look it up. And she tells him that.
Sylvia Browne had a very famous episode on Montel Williams, I believe it was, where she said somebody's son had drowned. And that he was missing, and he was dead, and he had drowned, and this and that. And then the son came up, resurfaced. I think he was staying with a girlfriend or something like that. He just ran away from home for a while. I mean, that right there told me that she was full of it. But when I did my Cuban psychic show, Rich, funny enough, it tripped me out. I'll never forget this. I was on one of the calls that I got, and mind you, I'm hamming it up.
Sure.
I was, if you heard the show, I was hamming it up. I was really going all out and doing the whole psychic thing. But I was doing it in a comical way, thinking that the audience was getting it. There was a joke. And I even called it the Cuban Psychic Educator Guesser Show or something like that. Educated Guesser. And I had this one caller which freaked me out because I kept telling him, oh, yeah, well, this is going to happen. Did you get into an argument with this person or that person? Just making random stuff up. And he kept saying, yeah. No, I know Michael. Yeah, we got into. Oh my God! He kept going along with everything, and at one point I'm like, wait a second, am I really psychic or what's going on? Right. And the guy hangs up thanking me and all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, wow, what just happened there? I was 100% on point on everything, and I'm throwing random stuff at the guy, and then he messages me a couple of days later thanking me for the show and if I'm going to do another one to please let him know. And I replied back and I'm like, dude, was any of that real? Yeah. Because I was just joking, I was just throwing guesses out there. And he goes, oh no, I was lying through my teeth. None of that was real. I just had a lot of fun with it, and that it was a fun show. And then I started thinking, I'm like, how many people do that actually when there's some psychics on TV or on radio or whatever, and they call in and they just play along with with the gag basically because it's fun, and that's what this guy told me. It's just a lot of fun. It sounded like you were having a good time, so I wanted to be part of the joke. And funny enough, this was years ago. He's still a friend of mine on Facebook. To this day, he listens to the shows.
That's amazing. But I have I did that first show I was doing where a guy called in and he goes, can you please help me? I call into a lot of psychics and I've been listening to you tonight and you've been dead on. And I said, yeah, what can I help you with? He goes, I'm in a court battle. And I go, with a family member. And he goes, yeah. And I go, with your sister or something? He goes, yeah. He goes, okay. He goes, so we're going to court and my mother passed away and my sister's not in her will. And she left me a significant amount of land and money, and now she's taking me to court wanting it all for herself. Am I going to win these court battles? And I go, first of all, are you near a train track or something? He goes, well, what do you mean? Why? And I go, well, for some reason I'm getting the feeling that you're by train tracks for some reason. All of a sudden we hear a train whistle in the background. And he goes, he goes, I live 100 yards away from the train tracks. They go right behind my barn. And you can hear the train go by on the show. So I did the show with knowing that I heard the train and guessed it. And how did I know? And then told him about his chances of winning the next court case and then what's going to happen. And he would call in 3 weeks later or email me telling me that you've been right about everything. I even described his sister perfectly. She has long blonde hair, straight blonde hair down to her butt, and she wears all black all the time. He goes, oh my God. He goes, yeah, that's my sister. She's evil. I said, yeah. So, was he pulling my chain? Maybe. I don't think he was, because you can get a sense for some people, and I'm pretty good at that. So I think. But it's amazing. Are we psychic? According to the psychics, we all have it in us. But
not me. I don't have a psychic bone in my body, Rich.
Well, because your brain is clouded. You have to clear your mind, Angel. Don't you know these things? Clear your mind.
Remember, it's not legal in Florida yet, my friend.
Oh. Right. Okay. All right, good point.
Anyway, moving on. Not a psychic bone in my body, Rich. Not one. And doing that show that I did confirmed it for me.
I know. And I remember you used to tell me all the time. You and Todd used to call me after the show, and they're like, "So how was your guessing going on tonight? How was your estimated best guess show go?"
The educated guesser, Rich Giordano.
Yeah. Because you're going to be right sometimes. You just
a lot of what these psychics do, man, they just really do take educated guesses, because we're all interrelated in a lot of ways. If somebody says, "Yeah, man, I'm having court problems," chances are is a family member.
Yeah,
good
right.
chance.
Oh, yeah, right. I didn't even think of that. That's right.
Chances are it's going to be a family member. Oh, well, something's going on with your family. Yeah, how'd you know? Well,
family or friend, yeah.
Good guesser.
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, when people come to my show, I mean, they're not always going to get the UFO topic now. I've changed a little thing. Do you know there was 13 years that Jesus went missing? Did you ever know about this?
I do know that, yeah.
I never knew about that. I just saw him doing a show next Sunday, the 13 hidden years of Jesus, if anybody wants to come by and listen. But yeah, so I mean, I'm so done with doing UFOs every week that I'm planning on doing that type of show. I want to do everything, like Art Bell did everything.
Yeah, no, it's not easy to just have one genre, and this is why I love doing different kind of shows. Like I do the Jackal's Head on Sunday nights, I do this show on Tuesday nights, I have the Roundtable show on Thursday nights, all different genres, because it's really tough just to stay on one topic always, and be known as that one guy. And it's funny because before I got back on this show, we rebooted this show back in December of last year, and before that I hadn't done Skywatchers in a couple of years, and I was concentrating more on the Jackal's Head on Sunday nights and stuff, and I was on Mac Maloney's show last year, and he referred to me as the UFO guy. He has a UFO show, and it's a great show. And I'm like, really? Like, I've had very few UFO topics on my show in the last year, because I really was trying to weave myself away from the topic, a little bit. Not because I'm sick with the topic or I didn't want to do it anymore, just because I'm interested in a lot of different things, and that's the great thing about the show on Sunday is that I could kind of open up and do all kinds of different topics and talk about different things and whatnot. But, again, going back to the original reason why we got into this, Rich, this is still a topic that we're all, invested in, because we do want to know the final answer. Are we alone? Is there life on another planet? So, that part of me would never go away, and that part of me would never want to stop doing these shows until we get that answer. Well, until I drop dead.
Yeah.
That's probably going to happen first, though.
Yeah.
Just saying.
No, yeah, you'll die soon.
Yeah, probably. I'm
just
a big...
a little psychic today.
Yeah, so. I'm a big guy, and I'm Cuban.
Geez, I just lost 50 pounds.
Oh, did you? That's a good thing.
50.
How'd you do that? Did you go on some crazy crash diet?
Can I tell you? I'll tell you what I tell everybody else, and this is not a joke. I think I'm dying.
Nah.
Not joke. No, I'm not joking. I really, I believe it. Okay, look. I was up to 250. Now I'm only 5'9.5", barely, not 5'9".
Really, I'm taller than you, really?
Yeah, but wow. I worked out my whole life, so I have a lot. I have a.
Oh, so you're saying you have a better physique than I?
Much better.
Oh, okay.
And but not working out for the last couple of years has taken its toll, and I gained a little weight. Mm-hmm. And then I started losing all this weight. In 3 months, I lost 61 pounds, and I've gained 10 back since, so about 51 pounds. Now, for my frame, I was pretty big, but I hit it pretty good, wearing extra big shirts, and people are like, are you working out again? You look huge. I'm like, no, but I think I'm dying. So for those of you who may not know me or may just meet me now on the show, if I'm not here a year from now, that's why. I disappeared. I shrunk into nothing. I've lost so much weight. I ate the same thing every day. I don't change what I eat, very rarely. So how could I have lost all that weight? And now I'm stuck around 190, so I'm happy with that. But still, man alive, how do you lose weight without trying? I went to the doctor.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Have you gone to see a doctor?
Yeah. Borderline at the time. My blood pressure was 190 over 190 over 101, and now it's 100 over 78. So I'm back to normal. But
you know what's crazy? I'm a lot bigger than you, Rich, and that's where my blood pressure is at.
I know, and I don't know how I gained the weight. I don't know how I lost it. My thyroid's fine. Maybe I was abducted, and they fed me a lot of nutrients while I was away. Who knows?
It could be. Maybe they fixed you. Maybe they fixed you like they did Travis Walton.
They fixed me? Yeah, maybe they did. Maybe they did.
You know.
I fell asleep right next to Travis Walton during the Phoenix Lights movie. I fell asleep snoring. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No. Well, I was up the night before. Like every year they have the Phoenix Lights. Dr. Lynn puts out her new edition of her movie, and it's at Harkins Theater. So the showing's at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Every couple hours for that one day, around March 13th. And I've been to every one of her shows, and sometimes I'll speak in front of the whole audience there. Sometimes I won't, but I was so tired. I came in and I sat in the very front row, and I look over to my left, and it's Travis Walton, right on the aisle, and I'm on the aisle. And then to the right of me, believe it or not, was Jeff Woolwine.
Oh, your favorite, yeah.
And then next to him was a MUFON person, and then behind me was Alejandro Rojas and a couple of MUFON reps. And all of a sudden I get jolted. Somebody knocks me, and bumps into me. And they're like, Rich, what? And I was asleep. And it was him. Travis Walton knocked out my arm.
Woke you up.
Yeah, and I looked like I was in like a gang. I came in with my full beard. I had a beard. I was wearing my headband. I had my glasses on. I mean, I was just so tired, and I fell asleep during the movie, which I've seen 19 times. So I fell asleep, and I was snoring during the movie.
Oh, my God, that's so funny.
And he pulled on my arm, and I was leaning on my chin, and I fell into my shoulder, and he goes, "Wake up." And he started laughing, and then I looked behind me, and Jeff Woolwine. I go, "Jeff, why didn't you wake me? You hear me snoring." He goes, "Well, I didn't want you to hit me, man. I didn't know what you would do." And I go, "You thought it was funny I was snoring, jerk."
You gotta put yourself in his shoes, though. He probably did think, well, if I say anything, he's just gonna get up and slap me in front of everybody. He doesn't like me as it is.
My mouth was open and everything, he said.
You're drooling a little bit, probably.
They said I was asleep for about 15 minutes, and I started snoring. They didn't know I was asleep until I was snoring.
You should have played that off and been like, "Oh, no, this is just very boring, man. I'm just bored. I'm playing. I'm not really sleeping. I was just playing. Fooled you guys. Fooled you." That's a funny story, though, man. That's really funny, though. Travis, that's an interesting case, the Travis Walton case.
Yeah,
right out in Arizona. And it's funny because out of all the abductees, Rich, he is like the one guy that I really believe had an experience. Out of all of them. Like, I 100% believe Travis was abducted by something. Whether it was aliens, whether it was a government experiment that was going on out there, and he just got, wrong place, wrong time. And whatever it was, I do think something happened to Travis physically. He was removed from that area by something or somebody. He spent those days away because they had him somewhere and they were doing stuff to him. And like I said, maybe they did fix you. And I think they did fix Travis. I mean, in fact, when I had Travis on the show a long time ago, I asked him that question, if he thinks that maybe he was killed by accident by the beam that hit him. And they took him into the ship to repair him. Wow. And his answer was like, that's a very possible answer. That's a very possible idea, because I've never been sick since. Like, he doesn't get sick, he says. He hasn't gotten the flu since like the early 80s. Okay, so, or a really bad, head cold or anything like that in decades. So, I mean, the guy doesn't get sick. He never goes, he has to go to the hospital, nothing. He even went back to work after all that, and he worked for like 20 years in the same company, and then he retired. But he's in perfect health. Never had any health issues or anything. So maybe they fixed him so good that, he'll live to be 100 without any problems and no health issues.
You bring up an interesting point. Now, I haven't been sick either in many years. I mean, I haven't been sick at all.
But now you're dying, Rich.
But now I'm dying, so I think they're letting me die. No, one thing is, it may be possible. You ever hear about how people get abducted and they when they wake up, their clothes are different, or they're on backwards, or they wake up with bruises? Well, there was a couple of months ago, and I swear to God, I'm not even making this up. I actually had the thought that I was abducted and dropped on my bed because I woke up with a shoulder injury that was so bad I couldn't use my arm for 3 months. It's as if something happened in my sleep where my shoulder was out of place or something. And that's happened, and I've had it to where like that side of my body was numb. Like my knees were numb, my heels and my feet were numb. Like just real strange things were happening to the right side of my body. I don't know what happened, but man alive, I kept getting these injuries while I'm sleeping.
That's weird. Yeah, it's bizarre.
Like I was fighting or something, and they, threw me into the bed, like shut up, and just threw me, or who knows what happened. But
you big tough guy, just take it. We're here to help you out.
Let's fatten this guy up. No, let's make him smaller. He's too strong.
A little bit skinnier, he won't be able to resist and fight back. Rich, look, we're almost out of time here on the show, man, and I hate this part of the show because we got to leave in a few minutes. I want to give you the opportunity to again give the audience your link so they can follow your show. Again, is on Sunday nights, airs at the same time as my Jacko's Head show. So proceed with caution, audience. Pick your choice. It's all
I'm telling you right now, I don't want to give them the link. Nobody called in. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to know anything more about me, so forget it. I don't want them to come to my show. I'm kidding, joking. I love everybody the same. Oy vey. All right, so the show is it's on blogtalkradio.com/AZUFO show. It's on Sunday nights as the Jackal's Head. But It's on. Your show's on Sundays at the same time at 7 o'clock Pacific?
Yeah, 10 p.m. Eastern. Has been on there for 3 years now, but it actually is going to be moving after the summer to a different time slot. So,
and then you do this show right after?
And then I do this show on Tuesday nights, yeah.
Wow.
I'm a busy man. And I produce Bill and Nancy Burns' Future Theater every Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, and by the way, Bill Burns is the best. He really is. What a great guy. And Nancy, I never met you, but I've heard you're wonderful. Love you a lot. I hope we can someday meet and all be friends. Really, seriously, I mean that. Because I do love Bill Burns. I love watching him. And, of course, back then, I mean, what did I know? I was new to everything, so I was off. But seriously, I'm doing the show. It's going to be bigger and better than it ever was, and I'm not going to be such a jerk. So, anyway, hopefully you guys will come over to my show and visit your show at the same time. Maybe do simultaneous,
well, we might do something like that one day.
I may call into your show as someone you may never heard of.
That'll work. Maybe I'll bring back one of my old voices and call into your show and introduce your new audience to Mr. P.
We could both use the callers.
Yeah, no kidding. You know what's funny, though? On this show, the funniest thing happens. We get callers like the day after, and they're like, man, that guest you had on was really rocking, man. I really wanted to ask him. Can you ask him some questions for me? I'm like, dude, why don't you just call in when the show was on and ask him yourself? I don't get it. But it happens all the time. But anyway, we're all out of time. Rich, you've been awesome, man. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for for being here for the 2 hours or hour and a half. And again, everybody, check out the AZ UFO show. I know it's on Block Talk Radio. My condolences, but it's a good show. Check him out. We'll have him back on here soon. It's always a lot of fun when Rich joins the show. So, Rich, my friend, thank you again for being here, buddy.
Grazie. Enjoyed. I had a great time. Thank you.
Guys, we'll be back on next week, right here on Skywatchers Radio, live on the Dark Matter Radio Network and on PSN Radio. See you then. The first person I ever heard on internet radio was Alejandro Rojas. And I was like, oh man, this is really cool. There's a guy on radio and he's doing a show about UFOs. I've always wanted to do this. I'm a big Art Bell fan and I love, this kind of topic and this and that. And then I started listening to other shows on the network and I found your show. You were like the second show. So it went from like clean cut, Alejandro Rojas, talking about MUFON and the UFO news and the great stuff. And then I hear your show, and you're like completely like, it's, a 180 from what's going on. And you're bashing some of the same people that Alejandro's having on his show and talking to and this and that. And I'm like, wait a second, what's going on here? And look, I've always had my skepticism over the years and whatnot. And I know there's a lot of people that you've gone after that obviously are hoaxing. I mean, there's no secret that there's a lot of hoaxers in ufology. I have my favorite targets also. Billy Myers is one of them. I don't believe Billy Myers. But, it was funny because you were literally the second person that I heard on internet radio doing this kind of show. But the first one doing it your way, which was, again, it was balls to the wall. It was hardcore. It was, in your face. The one... Or I should say there was a couple people that you went after, Bill Burns being one of them, that I was like, wait a second, Bill Burns is actually a good dude, man. And like, this other guy is actually a good dude. And I know this one guy, now he's a scumbag, but back then I thought he was a good dude. And, this is how me and Rich kind of interacted. I called him one day. I remember I was in the chat and everything. And I was like, Rich, I like your show, but why are you attacking these people? And I didn't get it. It wasn't, so much that you were really like hating on Bill Burns or any one in particular person. You were kind of like pissed at the entire genre of ufology. And, now, a few years later, we're looking at what's going on with the world of ufology and how so many known hoaxes are coming to light and so many different things are coming around. Like, look, Stan Romanek was one of your favorite targets.
Oh.
And look what's going on with him now. You know what I mean? So, there's sometimes there's some truth to some of the stuff that Rich was saying. And back then, you really went at like hard at Stan Romanek. I mean, hard.
Yeah, I wished him death.
He did it. Not even kidding. That's those are the words.
I wished him, and I don't feel bad at all, and I'm glad that all the negative stuff's happening to him. And I also feel bad at the same time for those around him that are suffering because of Stan's hoax. And what comes around goes around, and it came back tenfold for Stan. And a lot of people are like, oh, the government set him up. No, they didn't. Stan's always been...
All right, everybody, we are back on Skywatchers Radio, and with us now is the guest of the evening, Mr. Rich Giordano of the AZ UFO Show, and, of course, the documentary Fast Walkers that came out a few years ago. And like I said, a very controversial figure in ufology for many reasons, one of which is for his UFO videos. Some of the better ones have come out from Arizona. Rich, welcome to Skywatchers, my friend. This is your first time on the show, and I want to say thank you for being here with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I mean, this is the first interview I've done in over a year, so I'm glad to be here, and thanks for having me. And very controversial. That's right. You heard it. I have a lot to say, and I don't have any problem saying it.
No.
A lot of people hate me, but those who know me love me. So we'll see where this goes.
And some first like you, then hate you, and then they like you, and then they're like your buddies.
Right. We have to fight to love.
That's the way it is. Me and Rich go back a long time. I've known Rich we're going back like almost 5 years now, Rich?
Yeah,
5, 6 years, yeah.
Right.
It's amazing how time flies, isn't it?
It's like not even a year ago. I remember everything. It's just really weird, isn't it?
It's so strange, man. It's funny because Rich at one point did a show on PSN radio and everything, and then he disappeared for a while. And really, you've been gone for a while now from the scene. You haven't done your show in a long time, and you just recently came back and started doing it again. What took you away from the radio show? And we'll go into a little bit of the radio show itself and go into like your background and stuff. But first, why'd you leave for about a year? I mean,
I left because I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated with you people. Really. I'm not kidding. Not you in general, but people.
People, I got you.
Yeah, because I just started the show a long time ago, 2006, with the hopes and dreams that someday I will be able to show the truth to people and let them know what goes on behind the scenes and let them know that everybody's lying and everybody's supporting the hoaxers just to get their name out there, just to make a buck. So I kind of did this show called Who's Gay in Ufology? And well, nobody talks about this stuff, right? I mean, how many black people, sorry if I'm saying that, if that's an offensive word to people, but African
By the way, everybody, if you want to send some hate
ufology.
mail, please send it to Rich Giordano, not to our show.
It's okay. I could use the attention. How many African American people are abducted? How many Chinese people are abducted? You don't see that. I mean, they are, but we don't see them on TV. It's
Right.
always the Americans
The white guy.
doing it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. Uh,
No, but you know what? You did apologize to Bill Burns.
I apologize, because
and it's like everything. Look, it's like everything that happens. The negative stuff they heard, I'm sure. But when you apologize, I'm pretty sure nobody brought that to their attention. That there was an apology said.
No, there was an apology show I did, actually.
Yeah.
You probably remember I did the apology show and I still brought out the negatives anyway.
Yeah.
I said I'm apologizing for Jeff Woolwine because, he's a nice guy, but he still faked those videos, that kind of show.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Bill Burns, he is a great guy. There's nothing wrong with Bill Burns. I just don't like the fact that he admits to almost everything as being an alien contact or...
Oh, that's not true, though. I mean, this is funny because I'm now producing feature theater. I get to talk to Bill Burns and Nancy Burns all the time. In fact, shout out to Nancy Burns. She's listening in tonight. Hey, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, Billy.
They really are great people. And, I'll tell you what, there's been times where we've gotten into conversation and stuff. And, Bill is as skeptical about a lot of the stuff as we are. You know what I mean? It's just, you got to understand when you're doing a TV show and you're doing shows based on going after certain material or going after certain footage or going after certain people that are saying they're abductees or whatever, UFO hunters, whatever they base their shows on, you have to kind of like ham it up for the audience, for the crowd. That's kind of part of the job. But he is as skeptical as a lot of us. And believe it or not, the guy is incredibly knowledgeable, which is crazy. Like sometimes I tell Nancy, I'm like, just let him go, like, because he gets into like his little rants and he starts talking about stuff, and I'm like, just let him go. I'm actually interested in hearing what he has to say right now, like, and especially when he goes off of like John F. Kennedy and Dr. Feelgood and all that stuff. Like he knows his stuff, man. Like he's one of the dudes that you just want to sit back and just. Don't say anything,
That's what made me want to apologize because one day I was listening to him on YouTube or something. He's always been shady.
He's always been a shady character. And it's funny, I was kind of on the bubble with Stan because I had him on the show. He's actually been on Skywatchers before. And I was on the bubble with him. I wanted to believe him just like the rest of the world. You want to believe that this stuff is true. You want to believe that this guy's having these experiences and it's all real. And you really want to believe the guy. And then I saw a video of him literally hoaxing paranormal activity on camera. On a talk show. I don't know if you've seen this. It was on some radio show, I think some Australian radio show. And he's like flicking a Bic lighter or something in the air. And he's like, oh, where did that come from? Oh my God, where's that? We have ghosts. Like literally he's like playing it off like there's a ghost activity going on. And the host is so like ignorant to what's going on and not really paying attention that he falls for it. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm done with Stan Romanek. Then a month later, 2 weeks later, or whatever it was, the whole scandal breaks out that he had all the evidence in his computer that they found, which is kind of ironic that it was like 2 weeks, a month later, after that.
No, it's not ironic. So. It's not ironic because they've been watching him for a long time. It doesn't just happen in weeks. They've been watching him for a year, and if you really want to know the truth, Stan has probably been doing that his whole life. He just got caught.
Probably, yeah.
That's what happens. You get careless and you get caught. And I don't believe it has anything to do with his video or with his that show from Australia. It just so happens the guy got busted.
Oh no, that was just coincidence. It was coincidental. Yeah, it was just coincidental.
But one thing I am of course I claim to be the best BS detector on the planet. I'm very good at detecting liars. I'm very good at knowing people when they lie, their body, their mannerisms, their facial expressions. All that stuff that goes into lying, I can pick out and I can hear it. And Stan Romanek's video, that alien in the window, that is the worst acting job I've ever seen. everything about that video is all wrong. Everything. Everything about it. It's all wrong. It doesn't make sense. It's a total lie. Well, anyway.
Well, that one I concede on. But Bill Burns, he's a good guy, man. You should really reconsider.
I apologized years later about the Bill
You
Burns
did actually,
comment.
yeah. You did apologize. I remember you came. Was it on one of your Blog Talk shows? Right? It was on AZ UFO.
Yeah,
show.
yeah. It was on my show, and I said, I did a show with that intention, good intentions. Nothing. I didn't think I would be hurting anybody by telling the truth. But it turns out that I got to watch my language. So it turns out that everybody here,
people were hurt.
Well, people in ufology are very thin-skinned, and you would think they're thick-skinned after all the stuff that they hear about their own stuff. But I'm coming to find out that they have so many people supporting them that nobody's told them otherwise the truth. And I decided that I would do my show, tell the truth about what I've learned, because I have over 10,000 hours behind the camera at this point.
Yes.
So
in fact, Rich is one of the original people that, we got the idea to do a Skywatchers type of show because of our conversations back in the day, because Rich is a real Skywatcher. Like, we were all Skywatching, and Rich was talking to us about Skywatching when we were like, that should be the name, Skywatchers Radio. and Rich, I mean, we never really gave you credit, years ago, but really you're partly to blame for the name of the show. True.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, I guess. Yeah, good. Well, seriously, so I've made the same mistakes that all these other people who claim have made, great UFO claims and have these great videos, and then I learned that, wow, I got the same thing they did on tape, but I actually show the whole video, and come to find out that was an airplane at a distance, or a balloon at a distance, or the sun was setting and it was really high up there and it just reflected off the balloon. So I started naming names and talking about people in MUFON, talking about, certain people that are really well known and well loved in the UFO community, which turned against me because people were like, this Rich Giordano, he's talking about Bill Burns. Bill Burns is a respected this and he knows that and has more years forgotten than Rich has remembered. So, give the respect where respect is due. And I'm like, no, I won't. You know why? Because they're still peddling those fake UFO videos as real, and I'm not going to let them get away with it. And that's what the show became. It became this fight against the machine, MUFON, you name it. Whoever was number one, I went after.
And it's funny because that's how I met Rich, and we're going to go into a little history here. When I first met Rich, and I said it a few months ago when I had Alejandro T. Rojas on the show.